Welcome everybody to Ni no Kuni 2, Lair of the Lost Lord. Yeah, the expansion is now available to buy, and you'll be able to take Ni no Kuni's stiffest challenge yet, the meandering maze known as the Labyrinth. You also have access to a whole new system of skills and techniques as part of the martial methods feature. The maximum level of party members has been increased to a level 120, and other minor bug fixes have also been made. Why not?
Alright then everyone, time to implement the new patch and reboot the universe for this.
Unfortunately, Reeves and Shirei know David Bowie is the final boss, but you know, sacrifices had to be made.
And from what I've heard, this might end up being the last piece of DLC for the game because apparently the DLC hasn't been selling too well.
Actually,
aren't they pretty much done with this game anyway?
Actually, there was a second. There was there was a second DLC expansion, and they only announced two before the game came out, so there was never any third one to be made anyway. I don't know. So
basically, they went to the dark deed. What From Software does with Dark Souls, I'm honestly guessing.
Anyway, the Lair of the Lost Lord DLC introduces all new stories with the new characters, including this one, Roland's Journal. Installing the Lair of the Lost Lord DLC will allow you to discover and read Roland's accounts of his adventures with everyone in the game. So now we get to relive the adventure through Roland's perspective, thanks to his.
So we finally get to look at Roland's diary.
Yes.
I can see it now.
What's Fighting Batu? The Lair of the Lost Lord DLC introduces all new stories featuring your favorite characters. Speak to Batu and Evermore to set some exciting events in motion.
I can see his diary now. It's like the day before they set out to defeat the final monster. It's like day 108 of my day here. We have discovered a new threat threatening our kingdom and indeed all the kingdoms. Evan is getting ready to prepare us for the imminent attack. Day 639. We still haven't bloody attacked yet.
Anyway, back when they announced the season pass, they specifically said buy the season pass and you'll get access to the 2 DLC expansions. Yeah, and that's what they got. We got 2. So I
wouldn't be surprised if it was a suggestion from Bandai Namco to do this, because this is the exact way Dark Souls has been doing its DLC packs since the first game.
Not to mention
two apiece.
Not to mention this, after the ending of the second DLC expansion, honestly, that's pretty much conclusive. There's not really anything more to do in the game. So to be honest, I don't see a point in releasing a third one.
Anyway, Tio, what do you?
Don't ask bodily, please.
Don't worry, Dwebs. Don't worry, Dwebs. Bodley will not play a major role in these. You're fine.
Anyway, Tio, what do you mean by like Dark Souls, if I may ask DLC?
The Dark Souls games, Jova. Okay, the first one and only like one DLC pack, the Artorias, the Night DLC, but it worked the same way. Basically, From Software and Bandai Namco
I say Bracken's I say Bracken is really concerned about preservation.
Yes.
Right. Anyway, you were saying too?
They have decided to do this kind of behavior, having DLC not exactly a story pack necessarily, but still added content in a bulky mini expansion way to be released after. Dark Souls 2 did the same thing technically, and to give minor credit, but it's still, I just finished the game actually recently, but I was recording. It does improve over the vanilla. Unfortunately, it still doesn't say much because Dark Souls 2 is plagued by a lot of things. And Dark Souls 3 had, similar to this game, exactly 2 DLC packages similar to this. Again, there seems to be a strategy with this kind of adventure.
It was probably Namco Bandai who suggested it to level 5.
Which is not too dissimilar to how the difference between a Japanese released vanilla version of a Tales of game and its usual in the West.
For those who have finished the adventure pack, like me, there's something. Grandpa's would like to talk to the Rusted Relic that Bodley gave us for defeating Blackheart. So there you go. Now that reward that we see from Bodley will get used.
So who to talk first?
Grandpa's. Anyway, to recap, yes, Jova.
The new outfits that you got, every party member, do they give new stats or are they just cosmetic?
No, purely cosmetic.
They're just cosmetic. The outfits come from the stats come from the armor you equip, not the outfits.
It's funny because if I recall correctly, in Rogue Galaxy, some of your alternate outfits actually did slightly increase your defense.
They did.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
There's Grandpa's.
Oh, hello there, King Evan. It sounds like you found something rather interesting.
Oh, you mean this rusty old relic from Crash Team Racing? You're welcome, of course, but I doubt it'll be of much interest to you.
I think you better let me be the judge of that, you else. If I'm not mistaken, this is a very sacred item into which people once poured their prayers in the hopes of starving off illness. Evan, I think his accent's changing again. Shut up! It was said that whoever possessed it would be blessed with a long and healthy life. I've heard an awful lot about it, but I never thought I'd see it in the flesh.
Well, no wonder my life's been so great then. Aside from my dad being poisoned. Yippee! Gosh, I never would have guessed from looking at it. Here, I want you to have it, Grampus. If anyone deserves to live a long and healthy life, it's you.
I've already had a long and healthy life.
That's sweet. Evan, the thing is, I think this kind of prophecy, read in a sense, you will kill everyone who opposes you. That's why you will live longer.
It's like the prophecy in the Star Wars prequels. They misread it and forgot the fine print. Anakin will save them all, but it's just going to kill everybody.
You'll live longer if your people can't lead a mutiny.
Oh, that's very kind of you indeed. Hello, why not give you something in return? It's a sword your father once presented me with.
Dragon's Fang. So there you go.
Yeah. I still haven't gotten over it, by the way.
Oh, wow. It must be ever so important to you. Well, if you're sure it's all right, thank you, Grampus. I'll treasure it, and I'll probably stick it in my inventory and never use it, but I digress.
Actually, it's quite powerful.
Smile on your face, young man. But you'll be frowny next time.
Alright, hold on, Dips.
I've got the no riddles for you.
Anyway, to recap what was going on Leaf Book, to much to Taylor's delight, when you get the Lair of the Lost Lord DLC, the library gets updated with new lore and mythology for you to read. So, yeah, if you want some extra backstory on the overall world history of the game, by all means, go visit the library.
As Roland says, it's always up to date, so... Basically, thanks to the Lair of the Lost Lore DLC, we've unlocked a new gameplay feature called Martial Methods, but I'll talk about it when it becomes relevant. Yeah. The game itself actually sorta stops to tell you about it, but you will see.
Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is, the first primary side quest we're going to do is Roland's Leaf Book side quest. What is that? Basically, turns out, guys, throughout this entire game, Roland discovered, by using Leaf Book, that there's a private setting in it, and he's been keeping his own personal diary inside Leaf Book. So, we're going to take a look at that.
Hey, day one.
Just to, not go insane from the sudden experience.
And here's one. Here's one.
How do I get this thing to work?
Roland's journal has been updated. Alright, go ahead.
Alright. So, it didn't take long for my cell phone to die. Fucking Motorola. Figuring I wasn't going to be able to source a charger anytime soon, I needed to find somewhere else to write down my thoughts. This little thing looks like it's got a private mode, so let's see if it works.
No, don't
Little did Roland know, I know the code.
Well, I'm the president, so I know what to put for password. Swordfish. There you go.
And then, don't press that button. You'll leak all of Evermore's secrets out.
So yeah, basically, forgot the entirety of forgot all the various places of the game. You can find pieces of this journal that he's been keeping, which will tell you specific inner thoughts reactions he had to the various events of the game. So we'll get to kind of see what Roland has been thinking all this time.
Roland, is there any reason you've been hiding pieces of your diary all across the land?
Evan, sometimes a person needs privacy.
Yes, but you're acting like a pirate
Number two, go ahead,
your
Theo.
treasure notes.
Back home, some kids imagine there are fairies at the bottom of their garden. But here they don't have fairies, they have higgledies. And they're real. Seems not everyone can see them, but looks like I'm one of the lucky ones who can.
Cool. Go ahead, John. Continue,
this was also before meeting Lofty, so, no fairies until this point.
Yeah, the places where you find each of these logs is your hint to when specifically it took place.
Basically, retrace your step through the journey of the game.
Go ahead,
The monsters in this world are like nothing I've seen, outside movies at least. We're talking living skeletons, ancient blobs of goo, you name it. Luckily, most of them aren't too smart, but the wyverns are different. They speak and sometimes take human hostage.
So there
How
you go.
much crazier could it get?
Oh, a lot.
Well, again, this is an isekai person from the quote-unquote real world having to process something that he wasn't even desiring because, he was the president of the United States.
Alright, let's see.
All right.
Log 4. Yes, I'm getting them through order.
To become a king in this world, you had to make a pact with a creature known as a kingmaker. But in order to do that, you first had to pass a test. One which involves fighting. Suffice to say, it's way more dangerous to become president, even if you're not a kid.
It is nice how they kind of give you some hints on where to find these.
How are we getting these posts for a digital journal lying around in the desert?
You.
It's digital.
This-
Answer me.
it's magic, okay? Just roll with it.
Wait, hold on.
Hold
Is it
on,
magic
hold on.
or is it science?
It's
Make
both.
up your mind.
It's both.
Evan's still
Both.
just a kid, but he's already been through a lot. He kind of reminds me of my son.
Hint,
He used to go
hint.
through a lot too, but I wouldn't give to see him again. But I think that word is gone. The only question is why he survived and what. Damn, Roland is giving up already on returning home. Jeez.
I guess as far as he knew, he didn't have anything to return to.
I mean, I understand. I kind of understand this thought process.
The game-
again. Remember, like I keep saying in the vanilla game, if you notice, the game knows how to tell you what Roland thinks and does with body language and expression. Hold on. If you're going to build a kingdom, location is everything. I convinced the pirate lady who runs the store to give me a map, and I think I might have found the perfect spot. Everyone liked the idea, and Lofty had no objections either. Now the only problem is the bandits. Also, location.
Location.
Yeah.
I gotta wonder, Pedro, is it ever possible that, two notes might be hanging out in the same spot since, there were some times when we had to come back to a certain location?
Yes, they are.
in the story?
Well, remember, the first 2 logs are in the same dungeon, so...
So how do you know
Just
which
in
one to
different
pick up
spots.
first?
Again, explore. The game doesn't specifically tell you where to get them, just to make... Like Tim said, retrace your stats and look.
No. I get that. How do you know which order to pick them up in?
Oh, because I'm using a guide so I can get them through order, just to make it easier.
Ah, okay.
There are many ways to run a country, but letting fate decide a new one is not on me. It's not what you call responsible policy. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Basically, Joe, I did this fairly out of order on the PS4 because I was doing it blindly. But for this playthrough, I did it on order with a guide in front of me to make sure to be more efficient.
Fair enough.
So it looks like I'm going to play prosecutor in the trial of nations. I used to argue my case, so I guess I'm the man for the job, and it didn't seem fair leaving it to Evan. I just wish I didn't look so darn young. What's wrong with that, Roland? Come on.
Wait, what's wrong with looking young?
Because it's because when you're older, people usually assume that you're more experienced and therefore more wise and all that stuff.
Ironic,
guess.
because Phoenix is also pretty young for a lawyer when he starts off.
Well, in this case, prosecution, so I'd work too.
Well, Jova, in Dual Destinies and Spirituals, he definitely is the way he's characterized. He's definitely more wise with his years in the 3DS
I'm
games.
talking about when he was starting out.
True, but
Well-
okay. Ahead.
It's been quite the ride for young Evan. He's gone from being exiled in a coup to finding his own kingdom, and all in the space of a few months. To say I've enjoyed it would be an understatement. The Nevermore story is just beginning. Long live the king!
Screw all that presidential
Also,
crap. Long live the
we know
king.
actually some estimation of how much time has passed. Interesting.
Nice. It's like the opposite of what happened with America. We were like, we could do without a king and all that monarchy stuff. Let's actually do a democratically elected president. Thank you very much. But here it's the exact opposite. Roland's like, screw that stuff.
Hold on,
Long live the
Jova.
king."
Go ahead.
I dreamed of my son last night. We were in the war. They spoke to him, but there was no response. No way to reach him. But I have to leave the past behind. I got a life here. People will rely on me. No time to wallow. Still, can't choose what you dream about.
Hey guys, I found log number 800.
This
That's
is personal,
nice,
Lofty.
Lofty.
Please.
You left it laying around. Anyway, he says he says he's sick and tired of Evan constantly delaying the attack, and he's wondering when's a good time to rebel.
All right, let's continue.
Hey!
Have you got an explanation?
Go
I
ahead.
can't afford to waste time listing up all my regrets. This journal was meant to help me stay focused. Right now, my fighting skills are my top priority. I got some spells under my belt, and my sword skills aren't so bad. As for shooting, what can I say? I'm America, so I'm natural. Bless me the Second Amendment!
Yeah, okay.
But still, damn, like...
Nino Kuni!
Not just that, like, again, interesting to know that Roland had sort of given up pretty much since the beginning and was just, having the mindset to live on. Oh no, you don't normally have to fight bandits and dragons to get a library card. Makes me wonder what Bolly's really up to. I get the feeling she's trying to teach her things that are going to come in handy in the future. I'd ask, but she's not exactly one for straight answers. Also, she's creepy.
It was pretty obvious what she wanted into was your pants, dude.
She's like twice his age.
Dibs,
Like that'll stop anyone?
Dibs, as long as two people are of legal age, that doesn't really... anyway, go ahead.
I thought with all the magic in this world, you wouldn't need old-fashioned things like boats to get around. But it seems I was wrong. And here I was waiting for broomsticks to arrive. I can't deny I'm a little disappointed, but I guess I'll perk up when we finally... So this is the equivalent of a person...
The bus 3000!
This is the equivalent of a person who say, we're in the future, where's my fucking jet?
Maybe he's a Harry Potter fan, so he was hoping that the wizards here also use...
Not to mention, it's also ironic. Remember that in the first game there is actually a spell that makes levitate brooms, and Oliver even uses one in the final cutscene, so...
Okay. His reaction to, I'm guessing, Quinneria.
Oh boy, here we go.
Hoping to meet with Leander. Ever and Tanya act out a proposal scene with lofty directing. I have to say, the guy has some pretty smart idea on occasions, but then he can't be that stupid. I had to take the channel knowledge before it work with him.
Wow, he thought that slowly.
What was that you were saying about on occasion?
Not for nothing, Roland. If you wanted this to be private, you maybe should have hid these a bit better. It's like a pirate cursing those who
again,
dig
it's
up
a
his
walking cheese
treasure.
ball. Like...
It's okay, Evan. They're password protected, remember? Like it says right there, password protected.
Yeah, so password protected, as in thrown around all
So
over
how
the
do we
place.
call the eventual leaking? Roland Gate?
Go ahead, too.
Oh
Tanya and
god.
Batu are always up at the crack of dawn, making a racket. Sure beats an alarm clock. They make a point of going around town and talking to people every day. Some were a little wary of Sky Pirates at first, but they soon warmed up to them. I'm impressed.
Nice.
So the citizens are more prejudiced against sky pirates.
Well, Dibs, pirates are kind of, there's a certain perception about pirates that's not exactly the most positive. Let's face it. So.
It also reflects the kingdom's nature of trying to integrate so many different
You've
cultures.
seen Pirates of the
into
Caribbean,
one.
Dibs, so you know this. So.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, but compared to other kinds of pirates I've heard about, those are just tame in comparison.
It was quite a surprise to find a place with technology that wasn't so far from what we have at home. Not that it's actually the same, of course. Entering broadly was like going from a fantasy epic to a sci-fi movie, with the protests lending things inaptly a dystopian feel.
So Broadleaf is not that far ahead of America in this universe.
Nope, apparently not. Apparently not. Well, they have social media, they have touch screens, so yeah, I guess
it makes sense that we as America would be that way up in technology and all that. I mean,
when I was a kid, I remember pestering my mom to buy me this robot I'd seen in a toy store. When I finally got it, it was the happiest day of my life. Now we're going around Broadleaf battling robots that look a lot like it. Funny how life turns out.
Life comes at you fast.
It makes sense. I mean, heck, over here in America, we've now got self-driving cars.
Yeah, there's that.
I'm not sure that's going to work here in Britain.
It's like in iRobot. It's just gonna devolve. But anyway, Lofty's transformation was something else. When everyone first told me we were going to meet a kingmaker, that's exactly the kind of fantastical beast I imagined. But if that's the real Lofty, does that mean every kingmaker is a mini version? Can't quite picture it.
Yeah, that's a good question. Does every kingmaker have a mini version of themselves?
We're never gonna find out, are we?
Not to mention, Lofty's transformation is so radically different that these
could
be anything.
I'll just tell you this, Drovo. When we learn Lofty's backstory, let's just say he's different from other kingmakers.
Yeah, it is.
But of course. Wow, Roland,
next.
you left a note here too.
Go ahead.
So, who exactly is this Doran? All we know right now is that he wears a snake mask and goes around stealing King's bonds. He's got 3 so far, and you have to wonder when he's going to come for Evan. Yeah, I just hope I don't get another headache when it does.
So there you go. Those headache attacks that he has in the later part of the game, he's been having them all along. It's just that he's been trying his best to hide it from everybody else. But they've
Also, again, he asked exactly the same question that I did. Why didn't Doran just went through Evan first? But that's a thing. Yeah, I guess.
Oh, remember, Tay, we had that cutscene. Remember, Tay, we had that cutscene where he looked at Evermore and he's like, he probably thought.
Not important enough.
Yeah.
I spoke to Leander about the Mark of Kings, and he came up with one heck of an idea. We could use it to negotiate with Mausinger. Trust him to think outside the box. Anyway, we had a daring plan. Now let's see if we have the acting chops to pull it off.
Yes.
They did not. But the plan succeeded anyway.
I don't know, Dwebs. You see, you were fooled by it for the most of the part.
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
Well, it worked for when it needed to.
Jova was never fooled in particular, but he was immediately. But you were like in doubts, like, but whatever.
Just like Batu.
You know, on that note, hey Roland, going off of these notes, did you ever try rearranging the word DeLorean into something else? Like, you know.
I'm not for puzzles, Evan, sorry.
Oh, what a shame.
And somewhere Nathan is having a heart attack and doesn't know why. The other and Bracken teamed up to make the gear I took on my mission to Dignondale, using some ideas I got from old spy flicks. But I definitely don't recall mentioning Peels that turned into a frog. Was convinced I'd be stuck that way forever.
Well, let's see, if we make
I don't know, Roland, give it a few years, probably James Bond is gonna have something like that.
James Bond mixed with Final Fantasy VII. It just works.
No time.
So, Sci-Spy, Jova?
Yeah.
In case you know a terrible comic line, don't bother.
Mm-hmm.
All right, one
It
more.
had an interesting concept, but alas.
It seems there's a crypt in Dignondale where all of Evan's ancestors are buried. I guess if things had worked out differently, it's where he would have ended up one day. Jesus Christ, Roland.
Wow!
Should be an interesting trip. I hear there are royal quotes carved on all heads.
That's a hint. That's a hint.
Nice to know, Roland.
That's a hint for the player. If you there are cards that you can read on the graves, so feel free to read that if you want. Right there, see?
There
it's one thing to remind you that I'm going
with
to
Paul's
die.
signature. Get it? Because we're cats.
Like the Lion King.
Well, remember, Tail. Eventually this is going to become a mouse.
Don't go standing on their graves.
Well, remember, Tail. A few centuries from now, this is going to become a mouse-only crypt anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, unless it switches around.
Remember, Jova, Mausinger is a mouse. I'm guessing he will marry a mouse, and it will eventually.
Maybe he'll be tolerant and
or here we go. Actually, be true. Ordinarily, anyone who orchestrated a coup, killed the king, and banished his son and heir wouldn't warrant forgiveness. But it seems Evan and his late father see things differently. That kid really is one in a million. The people of Evermore are lucky to have him. Interesting.
Again.
Roland probably wouldn't have been as merciful as Evan.
No. Well, remember that this is kind of the deal. Whereas Roland is supposed to portray us as in people from the real world, and Evan, of course, is the fantasy fairy tale type of character. So there's the clash of perspectives there.
So here are the facts. I don't look a day older, over 20. There's not a scratch on me from the attack, and there's a kid here with cat ears and a tail.
Clearly, I am hallucinating.
So, what does it all mean? I guess I'm either a hospital ward somewhere dreaming all this, or I'm dead.
Okay.
That'd be some twist.
Wait, think positively.
Yes. Turns out Roland was that all along. And this entire game.
Pasta. It's a coma dream.
Pedro, you know how this really goes. He was sleeping all along. Come on, you're a Final Fantasy fan. Get with the program.
Well, does that job? Okay, I'll say later. Doran finally surfaced, and he's wreaking havoc on the world. He's reawakening a creature known as the Horned One, and he's stealing people's souls en masse, turning them into empty husk. I'd say it felt like a movie, but no. no, this feels all too real.
Like
Also,
Resident Evil.
also, Joe, remember, I think the better comparison here is with Eternal Sonata. Again, there are some interesting parallels down to Roland being isekai and believing he's just having a fever dream.
Alright, Untitled.
I couldn't protect him, my own son. I don't know what I just saw. It was real or just an illusion, sort of dream caused by the evil flooding of a world. But what can I do? I have no way of knowing what became of him. All I have are my memories and my pain. That fucking hell!
Well, that
Roland
was just
bottled up
depressing.
fucking everything.
Why can't a diary entry just be nice and whimsical?
Oh, some of them are, but still, damn.
Remember, this is a character from the real world, and the real world is much more depressing than Ni no Kuni. So,
Not just
Oh
that.
no! Nino Kuni
Not
can be
just that.
plenty depressing
Again,
itself,
Roland
but,
is going again through the mindset of just being stuck here, and through the course of the game, through these entries we see, he's having an existential crisis.
I mean, when you get down to it, maybe he's better off here, going off of how he describes his life back
We don't do
home.
something about the Horn One. This world could end up in an even worse state than mine. Couldn't do anything to prevent what happened back home, but at least I can stop it from happening again. With Revenant on my side, nothing is impossible.
Joy.
We live to make the impossible possible.
actually, Joe, but Doloran already did the join me roll, and then
No, I was gonna say, and together we can rule this
Rule the
land
galaxy.
in a power of peace and prosperity, and keep it from becoming like the real world. As father and
real world
surrogate
sucks, doesn't it?
son.
alright, 2 more logs to find.
Alright.
One in here.
Really, Rowan? You buried it up here.
Go ahead.
I remember looking up and seeing the missile, and I have this nagging sense that I heard someone speak to me. But who was it?
Foreshadowing for the second
How did I
expansion.
try? I just can't figure it out. Maybe it'll come to me, or maybe I'll never know. Depends if I want to spend money.
In the second expansion, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so now it's time for log number 30. If I remember
Spend
correct.
money.
Well, I bought the season pass with the so I already
There
had
you
this
go.
from the beginning anyway.
Forbid page number 30 is buried in the lava.
There you go.
No.
That's fine.
Surprisingly enough, it's here.
Alright, there you go. First, okay, look at it too.
I think Kevin's going to be just fine without me. Watching him face down Doloran, I knew I didn't need to worry anymore. When we first met, he reminded me of my son, and
Hint,
that
hint.
made me want to protect him. But a lot's changed since then. Now we can stand alone. They grow up so fast.
However, and with that, we also have a payoff for it. Someone posted something on Leafbook right after we got all 30 entries of the dial of the.
Oh no, it's Lofty.
Well, let's see who it was. Who could it be? Jova, go ahead.
I found some entries on Leafbook that look
Oh,
a lot
no.
like Roland wrote them. I didn't know you could keep a diary on
Evan, really thought.
I was, funnily enough, I was just about to ask if Roland knows you're reading these.
I think
Hold on, go ahead too.
Hey, you need a password to read those.
here. I typed in Mr. President and it worked.
How did you guess that?
Oh, just a lucky guess, I suppose.
Oh, come on, who told you?
Well, Bracken may have given me a
Oh,
hint.
Bracken is so screwed.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Great, just great.
Don't worry, I haven't read all of them yet.
Great.
Come on, guys, we still have more to
And
find.
Roland is suffering.
And so Bracken was demoted to
Janitor.
Actually, Dwebs,
Hi,
that's the king's judgment, not Roland. So
Damn.
Evan, this is illegal.
Wait, Bracken, you were the one who helped me hack into it.
You didn't have to type it in.
Yeah, but you could have told me better, but no, you were all about actually reading them. In fact,
You're a
you helped
king,
me
you can make
find
your
them.
own decisions.
Well, you're one of my ministers, you're supposed to help me with them.
well,
I can do this all day. Checkmate.
all right, everybody. In the net.
well, in the next part we discuss how severely punished Bracken's gonna be. And
Don't worry, Webs, if you'll allow me. In the next part, everybody, we're gonna have ourselves an over 1 hour long part that has, in my opinion, one of the best moments in the entire game. Yes, I'm including everything, expansions and all. A side quest called Family Ties, where Dwebs and Shiroi, as Batu and Tani, will get to shine. Yes, it's the backstory of Tani and Batu. Yes, so look forward to that.
Yeah.